Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. If you're serious about landing a career in tech but lack the formal education or background, Coding Dojo will get you there in no time. With over 3,000 graduates to date, over 90% of their grads land jobs within 3 months of graduating, often making over $70K per year at tech firms of all sizes, from companies like Google to local startups. To learn more, visit codingdojo.com or click the link in the description below.
Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here. So I have to admit, I'm having a hard time coming up with some video topics and content since I'm switching and changing my life around. If you don't know already, I have decided to somewhat leave Simple Programmer. Basically, I am retiring as the CEO of Simple Programmer. My business partner, Josh Earl, is taking over. And I'm sort of on this adventure to figure out what to do with my life for now. And I want to talk about that a little bit and just about this concept of these two areas of life, or these two phases in life. I talk a lot about this idea that there's seasons in life or phases in life, and that, where you are, like the advice on what you should do depends on where you are and what phase or cycle, right? Everything in life goes around cycles and seasons and phases, and you have to recognize that. And the reason why I think that's so important is because if you don't, then what ends up happening is that you either take advice that's meant for a different person that's in a different season in their life or a different cycle, or you start giving that advice and you think that it just applies as a blanket application, and that's not the case, right? So, for example, a lot of you ask me, how to get ahead in life, how to develop that fucking Bulldog mentality. You can check out the Bulldog video here if you don't know what I'm talking about, but how to do that, right? And how to succeed. And for that, I tell you, you got to work your ass off. You got to work, maybe 60, 70 hour weeks and really dig in and put in the effort. But the thing is, like, that's not the advice that you should take all the time, right? You got to put in the hustle. You got to put in the effort. You got to go through that phase of really digging in and working hard and busting ass. But you don't want to stay in that mode forever, and you can't stay in that mode forever. And that's kind of what spurred this transition for me. I've gone and I've been facing and cycling through periods of really, really heavy work. Things like when I worked on my latest book and whatnot, and going on vacation. But altogether, I've been really focused on this routine kind of work mode in general, and I haven't pulled out of that for a while. So what I'm saying here is basically, like, there's different phases, right? There's different seasons. A lot of really experienced and successful people, they'll tell younger people, they'll say, hey, one of the things that I learned in my life was that I shouldn't have worked so hard, that I should have taken more time, and there was no rush. And, when they give that advice, it's actually bad advice, because where they're at now in their life, they've got momentum and the ball's already rolling, and that is great advice for someone at their stage now. They should take it a little bit easier, not bust ass as much, because there's not as much benefit. But when you're starting out, you gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you gotta pay the dues, right? You're not going to get ahead, and you're not going to get to where you want unless you put in that hard work. They tend to forget about what got them there and what got that momentum. I did this video on momentum, if you want to check that out. That talks a lot about this concept of momentum. So anyway, what I really want to talk about today is kind of what I'm doing in the phase that I'm at, and sort of two phases that I think that you can examine your life through. And you can see this in a lot of famous people's, a lot of very productive people's lives. So one phase is this phase where we're talking about the grind. We're talking about grinding hard and putting out stuff. And when you got to get shit done, you really need routine. You really need to be hopefully in the same place, to have habits, to have a routine, to have a system in place. See, I've got a very rigid system of how I plan my week. I schedule my days. I wake up in the morning. Even as I have been an entrepreneur, working for myself, running my company, Simple Programmer, and running this YouTube channel, I have worked essentially a 9 to 5. I've basically put in my calendar, when I'm going to wake up, wake up consistently every day, work on certain things, have a routine and a system in place, and I follow that, okay? But because that's really important in order to get shit done. So if you're in the phase in your life where you need to get shit done, where you need to accomplish big things, and you're gonna have to move some mountains, it's gonna require consistency and commitment, and having a routine and a schedule and sticking to that and being very, very strict about that and having that discipline is very, very important, right? You're in execution mode at that point. And like I said, different phases of your life, you might have to go through that for at least a few years in order to get a benefit in life, or to get to where you want. And most people never go through that kind of hustle. So that's really, really important when you're trying to get shit done. Now, here's the flip side of this, okay? And this is kind of the phase that I'm entering now, is that you remember I said at the beginning of this video that I'm sort of running out of topics. I'm sort of running out of content. And it's not like there's not topics out there. I mean, there was a period of time, not too long ago, where I had thousands of topics I wanted to talk about on this channel. But what I'm really running out of is inspiration. Okay, and when you're in that work mode and you're in that grind mode and you're just in that routine and you're just busting ass, you're accomplishing a lot of shit. It's great. And I did this for the last probably 7 years, honestly, as I've been building Simple Programmer, my company, and building up this YouTube channel and all the other kind of ventures I've been doing, as well as, the fitness and diet and routine, all this kind of stuff. So I've been in that grind mode for a very, very long time, and even doing the real estate investing. But in that time, what ends up happening is that I'm drawing from these life experiences. I'm drawing from the stuff that I did before, from my life, from living my life. Whereas when you're in routine mode, sometimes you're not living your life as much. You're kind of more like a robot, right? Because you have to be programmed that way in order to succeed, right? I always talk about in my life, the reason why I'm able to do some of the things that I'm able to do and accomplish them is because I make every single fucking thing life or death. I make it all life or death, right? And that is what is required in order to really push through and not let things drop, is you got to make things life or death. But it's not a great way to live your life. It's not going to give you much inspiration. So we flip over to that other side, like I said, where I'm at now, where I'm kind of at this phase and I'm like, okay, I need inspiration, right? If you're familiar with Ernest Hemingway, right, one of the greatest writers of all time, arguably, he was a soldier, a warrior, a journalist, right? He was traveling, he was going on these adventures, and he needed that life experience, that reference experience, in order to become a great writer, because he needed something to write about, and it has to come from the inspiration that he got from out on the field, right? And so it's the same thing, right? Same thing for all of us, but this is the phase that I'm entering now, is where this routine, it was killing me. It was like, I got nothing really to give. The well is dry. And by keep on grinding and trying to produce content and pushing stuff out, I'm not getting that renewal that I need of inspiration. Now, again, I'm not stopping with the YouTube videos. I'm continuing to make them, but I need to go out there and be involved in something else. I need to have some more inspiration. I need to break up the routine. See, when you need to get shit done, routine is great. When you need inspiration, you need chaos. You need an element of randomness. You can't have so much routine. I mean, you still got to have some routine in your life, if you want to accomplish some things. And I'll continue to have my fitness routine and my diet and those things, and probably the YouTube videos, although I might change that up. And I may pause them for a while. I may stop it. I haven't completely decided at this point. But, I just wanted to point out that kind of concept, this idea that you've got at least these two phases, right? And there's a lot of ways to slice this. But what I've noticed is that you've got the routine side of it when you need to get shit done, but you've got the kind of the chaos side of it, the kind of, spontaneity side of it when you need inspiration. And you got to balance between the two and shift between those two, because if you're just on the routine side, you're just going to be a robot. You're just going to be programmed. You're not going to have much to draw from. And that's kind of where I feel like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. I don't have as much to draw on, and so I don't have as much motivation or inspiration or purpose in what I'm doing. So I'm like, okay, I need to shift gears here. I need to go into what's actually uncomfortable for me now, which is the spontaneity, which is the chaos, which is this phase of life where I'm like, okay, I'm basically phasing out all the stuff, getting rid of all these responsibilities, and opening up my life and saying, okay, your day is free. You can do what you want to do. What do you want to do, right? And finding that and going out and seeking that kind of adventure. And then hopefully what will happen is that as I live that way, live more spontaneously, right, that I will develop enough reference experiences, I will gain enough insight, that I'll be ready for my next big project. What will it be? Will I write a book? Will I create a game? Will I do something, start a new business? Will I take this channel and take a different direction and build a business out of it? Maybe, I don't know. But I'm not ready to do that yet. You see what I'm saying? So I have to go through that phase and then come back. And this is something that I struggled with for a long time because I didn't believe this. Because I didn't want to believe this. Because I wanted to believe that I could just keep on going, keep on, hitting the hammer. But what I realized, this year, at the beginning of this year, was that I was fearing loss. I was fearing the loss of everything that I've built and everything I've accomplished. And I was fearing that, can I get back there, right? Will I lose all this and then, will I be able to recreate it again? And that's the wrong question to ask. The question to ask is, what is the right thing to do now, right? I mean, fuck the consequences, damn the consequences. They'll come or go, whatever it is. But when you're doing the wrong fucking thing and you keep on persisting in it, you're creating a prison for yourself. And that's where I was with Simple Programmer. And I'm trying to free myself from that so that I can, get that inspiration and then eventually come back and what is the next thing? When something's over in life, you got to figure that out and you got to move on to the next thing. So Simple Programmer is still around. It's still a company. I'm still the owner of the company with my business partner. But he's the CEO now. He's going to run it. He's going to call the shots and I'm going to stay out of it. I'm going to try and go into the chaos phase of my life and see what happens. And I'll be documenting the journey here and giving you the lessons that I learned along the way, hopefully, unless that changes. But that's the plan for now, at least. So anyway, think about that. Think about phases. Think about the times of your life where you need to switch between, what is your objective, right? If your objective is to get shit done, try to arrange your life in such a way that you've got routine, that you've got stability, right? That you know where your gym is, if you're lifting weights, you know what you're eating every day. You've got an alarm clock, you've got a routine, you've got all of these things in place so it's not chaos. But if you need inspiration in life, you got to throw a lot of that shit out the window. You can't have that monotonous day-to-day routine. Not as much. I mean, you got to have some of it, but you got to give as much freeform as possible. You got to go on an adventure. You got to go and try things. You got to go and shake things up a bit. Otherwise, you're not going to get that inspiration. And that's something, like I said, that I've been sorely lacking. And now I'm trying to bring that back in. It's hard. It's hard to go, once you're in this robot mode of work, and get shit done, it's hard to go to that because you feel guilty. There's a lot of different, complicated emotions that happen when you try to make that switch. But at least I feel like I'm at the point where I need to do that. And so just something for you to think about. All right, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.